Hello, Pure Flix Insiders. I'm Jason Noble, your host today. I'm here with Karen Kingsbury and Tyler Russell. We're so excited about 1,000 Tomorrows. I want to ask you a couple of questions for our insiders today. What was your first reaction when you heard that 1,000 Tomorrows was going to be on the Pure Flix platform?
Well, this happened over lunch. We had lunch with Rich Peluso from Sony Affirm, and he said, we would like to see 1,000 Tomorrows, as a streaming TV show on Pure Flix. And thrilled, like so excited, because I just feel like God has such a plan, not only for 1,000 Tomorrows, but for Pure Flix too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's such a cinematic story. With the bull riding and like being outside and just the scope of it. So immediately I just thought it was a perfect story to bring to life, and Pure Flix was the perfect place to show it.
What makes you excited to see this project come to life?
Now it gets to go to the masses. And I think that is the most exciting thing, is to hear the feedback. I mean, there's been, millions of people who read the book. That's great. But now there's there's so many people who don't read. And so all along these readers have been saying, oh, if only you would read this book. And now they can say, hey, come watch this with me, get Pure Flix, sign up today, get the app, because you're going to love this show. And just to see that feedback has been incredible.
Great. Do you see yourself in either characters or the characters in the stories?
Yeah, I kind of do. I would say I see myself in their love story. That's how I feel love should look. Love should look that it goes deep and that it's beautiful and sacrificial. And the kind of love story they have is like my favorite kind of love story.
I'd like to think that I see myself as a bull rider.
I do.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to be a bull rider?
Right, I know, right? I mean, exactly. No, yeah. I'm with you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of the traits of the characters are things that I try to be, like Allie's way that she seizes the day and that she makes the most out of every day. Cody's selflessness and his courage and strength. I think that those are things that I'd like to think that I am, and on days that I'm not, I know that I can be inspired by these characters to step up in those ways.
Why did you choose to include the subplots around individuals with Down syndrome and cystic fibrosis?
Well, when I wrote this book, there were just those situations kept coming across my life. So our kids were all part of a Christian youth theater group, and one of the brothers of one of the actors was a Down syndrome teenager, and he was just delightful. I just loved him. And I had this beautiful conversation with his mom, and she said, when a child's born, when you hold him in your arms and you realize that he has Down syndrome, when you're given that diagnosis, your heart breaks for them. But very quickly, you rebound to saying, I get the delight of having a child for the rest of my life. And I loved that. And I also felt like the juxtaposition of Cody and his anger and fierceness and incredibly gifted athleticism, juxtaposed against Carl Joseph and his innocence and inability to do the things that Cody could do, was just a great contrast. And then CF, same. My husband was a basketball coach, and he coached some youth sports as well. And he had a young man on the team that had cystic fibrosis. And so I learned a lot about cystic fibrosis, and that young man is still doing very well. And they're at the cutting edge of all the breakthroughs that are happening for cystic fibrosis, and making strides every day to add more tomorrows by the grace of God.
Yeah, and I think with Down syndrome and CF, they're not often represented in media. But there are people all over the world that have those stories that are connected to CF or Down syndrome. And so to bring just a sliver of awareness and life to those things, I think is really important.
That's so good. Without giving too much away, what lessons do you hope viewers are going to take away from season number 1?
I think that these viewers are going to say, wow, this is tapping close to home. This is really hitting my heart, because we all have dealt with something that we can't quite forgive, something that we're carrying that's a bit of trauma from our past. And for Cody, he actually found his success anchored on his anger. I mean, I think we can relate to that. And then the call of God that we let it go and we give it to him.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, I think that there's themes of freedom in this story, whether it's being free from fear, being free from anger or pain. I think that there's a big lesson to be found in giving it to God and moving forward in freedom with whatever it is that you're working through or wrestling with.
It's so good. Hey, so don't miss a single episode of season number 1 of 1,000 Tomorrows on Pure Flix. We can't wait to see you there.